Hello everyone and welcome to Kiki Crochet. In this video tutorial we're going to learn how to crochet step by step this very easy but beautiful flower. It's in 4 layers, but in the video I explain how we can crochet less or more layers of the flower depending how big we want to make it. Let's see the yarn that I'm going to use, the crochet hook, and how to start. And I'm going to start with my magic circle. If you do not know how to work the magic circle, you can chain 3, slip stitch in the first chain to make your ring. And whatever I crochet in the center of my magic circle, you're going to crochet in the center of your ring. So start by wrapping the yarn around your 2 fingers once, bring it on the top left, put your hook under the right yarn, over the left and bring it under. Turn your hook around once to make a loop. Grab the left yarn and pull it through the loop. By doing this, you've worked the first chain and you've created your magic circle. Now work a total of 6 half double crochet in the center of your magic circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Grab the yarn that you started your circle with and pull it very, very tight. Now put your hook in the first half double crochet and work a slip stitch. Now I'm going to chain 2, and in the same stitch that I just worked my slip stitch, I'm going to work 2 double crochet in the very same stitch. 1 and 2. Now chain 2, 1, 2, and in the same stitch you just worked your 2 double crochet, put your hook and work a slip stitch. And this is my first flower petal. Now I'm gonna work a chain 1 but very, very loose. And because we're working more than 1 stitch in the same stitch and we are in the beginning, the next half double crochet is hidden. So what we want to do, pull your stitches to the right so the next stitch comes up. Put your hook in the second half double crochet and work a slip stitch, chain 2, work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, and finish the second flower petal by chaining 2 and slip stitch in the same stitch. Now loosely chain 1, open up your stitches so you can see your next half double crochet, slip stitch, chain 2, work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, chain 2 and slip stitch in the same stitch. Loosely chain 1, open up your stitches so you can see your next half double crochet, slip stitch, chain 2, work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, chain 2 and slip stitch in the same stitch. Loosely chain 1, open up your stitches, put your hook in the next half double crochet, work a slip stitch, chain 2, work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, chain 2 and finish the flower petal by slip stitching in the same stitch. So we have 5 flower petals at this point. Now loosely chain 1 and work your last flower petal, slip stitch in the next half double crochet, chain 2, work 2 double crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, chain 2 and slip stitch in the same stitch. Okay, so we have a total of 6 flower petals, and this is how our flower looks like at this point. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to start the new row of flower petals. A new row means a new layer. Okay, so what we're going to be doing, we're going to be chaining 3, bring your hook from the back in the front in between of the two flower petals and put it right in between, right here where we worked the chain 1. This is why I was mentioning to work it loosely, so you can find it easier. So we're going to be working a slip stitch in every chain 1 space that's in between every flower petal. Okay, so I've chained 3. Now put your hook in between the first two flower petals in the chain 1 space and slip stitch. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Put your hook in between the next chain 1 space between the next two flower petals and slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. Put your hook in between the next two flower petals in the chain 1 space and slip stitch. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch between the next two flower petals. One, two, three. Slip stitch between the next two flower petals. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch between the first two flower petals, the last two where I began, okay? So I have a total of 6 chain 3 spaces, as many as the flower petals were in the beginning. Now, every time that we finish, in every new row that we start of flower petals, we're going to be adding 2 more chains and 2 more double crochet in every row. So I started the second row with 3 chains, and we're going to work 5 double crochet in every chain 3 space. Row 3 will be with 5 chains and 7 double crochet. Row 4 is going to be with 7 chains and 9 double crochet, then 9 chains, 11 double crochet, 11 chains, 13 double crochet. You can make your flower as big as you prefer. I'm only going to work 4 rows. Okay, so put your hook under the first chain 3 space and work a slip stitch, chain 2, 5 double crochet under the same chain 3 space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 2 to close the first flower petal by slip stitching under the same chain 3 space, loosely chain 1, put your hook under the next chain 3 space and slip stitch, chain 2, 5 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, chain 2 to finish the flower petal by slip stitching under the same chain 3 space, loosely chain 1, slip stitch in the next chain 3 space, chain 2, 5 double crochet under the same space, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, chain 2 to finish the flower petal by slip stitching under the same chain 3 space, loosely chain 1, slip stitch in the next chain 3 space. Okay, so this is how the second row of the flower petals are being formed. Always loosely chain 1 between the 2 slip stitches. Once I finish working the second row, I'm going to turn my video back on to start row number 3. Okay, I have finished my last flower petal. Again, a total of 6 flower petals aligned with the ones of the first row. Okay, I've worked my 2 chains and the slip stitch in the same chain 3 space. Now I'm going to start my new row of the flower petals. So I'm going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put your hook in between the first 2 flower petals in the chain 1 space and work your slip stitch. Chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the chain 1 space between the next 2 flower petals. chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the chain 1 space between the next 2 flower petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the chain 1 space between the next 2 flower petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the chain 1 space between the next 2 flower petals, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and slip stitch in the last space right over here between the last 2 flower petals. Okay, so again I have a total of 6 chain 5 spaces, and start by working a slip stitch under the first chain 5 space, chain 2. Now in this row we're working 7 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. As we did in all previous rows, chain 2, slip stitch in the same chain space, loosely chain 1, and slip stitch in the next chain 5 space. Now all my flower petals are going to be formed in the same exact way as I did this one. Chain 2, 7 double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch, loosely chain 1, and so on. Once I finish row 3, I'm going to turn my video back on to start row number 4. I've completed crocheting my 3rd row. See how every row of flower petals are aligned with each other. Now I've completed my last flower petal by chaining 2, 7 double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch in the same chain space. Now we're going to chain 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put your hook in between the first 2 flower petals in the chain 1 space and slip stitch. Okay, I want to do that for a total of 6 times. I did it 1, so I need 5 more chain 7 spaces all around in the same exact way we were doing so far. When I finish, I'm going to turn my video back on. I have worked my 6 chain 7 spaces. Now I'm going to work a slip stitch in my first chain 7 space, chain 2, 9 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And as we did in the previous rows, chain 2, slip stitch under the same chain space. Now because I'm not going to work any more rows, I'm going to go right ahead in the next chain space and work a slip stitch. If you're going to work more rows, you always have to work that chain 1 in between the slip stitches. Again, chain 2, 9 double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch, chain 2, 9 double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch, and so on up until you complete the 4th row. And this is how my flower looks like at this point. I've completed crocheting my flower, all of my 4 rows. Okay, I've worked my 2 chains in the slip stitch in the same chain 7 space. Now I'm going to chain 1, cut a long piece of yarn because we're going to sew on our scarf, pull the loop, and tighten up. Okay, so our flower is ready.